through the deadlands where the air burns your lungs. Rusted gears, grind meat, fungal bloom on tongues. Skin peels with every mile, blood crusts round your eyes. This dark country chews your soul, feeds on muted cries. Flames lick the marrow bare, shadows gorge on fear. Step inside this festering pit, ain't no leaving here. Strap your mask, it won't save you from the reek. Guns jam with rot, your screams grow weak. From mariners' bogs to tech-port splintered piers, the Deadlands flay you strip by strip, bathe in outlaw tears. Embers choke on blood and grime, the ramble's yours to roam. Die slow in this steaming grave, welcome home. Like in sun up, I'll show you round.
Greetings YouTube, and welcome to the introduction and first chapter of my audiobook content, like, sub, bell, all that good stuff. Before we start though, something to know: this world is not our own. If it says someone sounds French, or is French for example, they aren't French. That is just what they look or sound like to our ears. The continents are different, but cultures shadow or sometimes run parallel to our own. With that, let's dig in. Book 1, Deadlands Between Cities. Introduction. The Lore of the Deadlands. In a world choked by dust and decay, the Deadlands sprawl a vast, forsaken expanse of a continent where humanity clings to survival amid the ruins of a shattered past. Once thriving megacities and towns now lie in rubble, their bones a twisted meld of medieval stone, industrial steel, and Art Deco elegance, all warped by time and a relentless fungal plague. This is no ordinary infection, but a parasitic nightmare. A fungus that nests in the brain, seizing the nervous system to turn the living into shambling horrors, shufflers, runners, howlers, and worse. Spread by bite, scratch, or spore-laden air, it thrives in the damp dark, recoiling from sunlight's touch. Its flammable tendrils a grim gift to those bold enough to wield fire. A world where all the fresh water is tainted, need to be purified before consumptions, and most animals fell to its grasp, leaving rodents and birds rare exceptions, while agriculture became a guarded treasure, hoarded by the few who salvaged livestock behind fortified walls. 18 walled cities rise from this wasteland, fragile bastions of order and chaos, each microcosm of human will born from satellite cities and town-like mining districts, industrial hubs, commercial cities, agricultural centers outside the megacities. Their aesthetics clash: Gothic arches buttressed by riveted iron, steampunk machinery humming beneath medieval spires, Art Deco facades glowing with gas lamps and neon scars. Between them stretch the Deadlands, littered with fortified outposts, trading hubs, labor camps, hunting grounds, where survival is bartered in bullets and blood. Weapons mirror the world's duality. Swords, bows, and shields endure alongside firearms, blending 1940s heft with modern sleekness, all forged for a war against the undead. Armor is practical yet ornate, industrial plates hammered with medieval flair, built to fend off bites more than blades. The Deadlands themselves shift. Dusty deserts of ruined cities, foliage-choked urban jungles, shadowed forests, mountainous regions, fungal-dominated swamps, all crawling with the infected. Shufflers roam in slow, mindless hordes. Runners hunt with canine cunning, herding their kin. Howlers shriek to summon death, and more the dark their domain, while daylight offers only a fleeting reprieve, a thinning of night's terrors. This is a world of endurance, where hope is a blade's edge and survival a dance with despair. Between cities 4 Valmontaigne and 8 Calderon in the center of the continent, amidst the dust and the dead, a story unfolds, not of heroes, but of those who claw through the abyss, their fates unwritten, their scars a testament to the fungal dawn. Chapter 1: The Dustwolf Hunts. The Deadlands stretched out like a graveyard of rust and stone, a desert wind howling through the skeletal remains of what once was a megacity. Rain Dustwolf crouched atop a jagged slab of concrete, his gloved fingers tracing the edge of his kukri as he scanned the horizon. The sun hung low, a dull orange smear behind the haze of dust and fungal spores that clung to the air like a sickness. His goggles fogged slightly, and he wiped them with a thumb, the steampunk lenses clicking as they adjusted. Below, the ruins sprawled, crumbled medieval arches fused with twisted steel girders, their Art Deco flourishes long since peeled away by time and rot. He'd been tracking the runner pack for 2 days now. Shufflers were easy, slow, stupid, cannon fodder for any half-decent blade. But runners, they were bastards, quick as feral dogs, with just enough cunning to make you regret underestimating them. Rain's bright blue eyes narrowed as he spotted movement, a twitch of shadow between two leaning smokestacks. His pistol, a sleek hybrid of Kurt 45, rested heavy on his thigh, but he didn't draw it yet. Noise was death out here. His bunker wasn't far, 2 miles south, tucked beneath the fortified husk of an old police station. The underground garage was his sanctuary. A heavy iron door sealed it shut, its steam-powered lock hissing faintly when he fired it up. Inside, shelves of scavenged gear lined the walls, canned rations, a dented coffee pot, a stack of dog-eared books ranging from Beowulf to a tattered engineering manual. A cot sat beside a workbench cluttered with ammo casings and a half-repaired crossbow. His steam cycle rested in the corner, its brass pipes gleaming dully. Too loud for Deadlands runs, but a godsend for city trips. Rain shifted, his trench coat rustling against the ornate pauldrons on his shoulders. The armor was light, industrial-grade alloy beaten into a medieval shape, scratched and dented from years of bites and claws. It wasn't for bullets, it was for teeth. His half-mask filtered the spore-thick air, its armored plates cold against his bearded jaw. He adjusted the scoped Eisen semi-auto rifle slung across his back, the magazines strapped to his bicep clinking softly. A low growl snapped him from his thoughts. 50 yards off, a runner loped into view, gaunt, its fungal-crusted skin splitting around a jaw that hung too wide. 2 more flanked it, herding a trio of shufflers like sheepdogs with a flock. Rain smirked behind his mask. Clever little shits, he muttered, his voice a dry rasp. He slid the kukri from its sheath, the short, curved blade glinting faintly, and dropped silently to the cracked pavement below. The hunt was on. He moved like a ghost through the ruins, boots crunching softly on gravel as he flanked the pack. The lead runner paused, sniffing the air, its head jerking unnaturally as fungal tendrils pulsed beneath its flesh. Rain hurled a chunk of brick past it, a distraction, and darted behind a rusted steam pipe. The runner snarled, charging the noise, while the others scattered. Perfect. His coppice came free from its backpack sheath in one fluid motion, the heavy, cleaving blade slashing through the first shuffler's neck. Gore sprayed, black and thick with fungal sludge, splattering his coat. The second shuffler lunged, and he pivoted, driving his kukri up through its jaw. It twitched once and crumpled. The runners wheeled, screeching, but Rain was already moving, calculated, ruthless, a wolf in the dust. The lead runner leaped, claws raking the air. Rain ducked, slamming his pauldron into its chest and pinning it against a wall. His pistol barked once, a single shot punching through its skull, fungal brains oozing down the stone. The others hesitated, losing the pack leader, smart enough to fear, and Rain bared his teeth in a feral grin. "Come on, then," he taunted, holstering the gun and raising his blood-slick blades. "Let's dance." By the time the sun dipped below the horizon, 5 corpses lay at his feet, steaming in the cooling air. Rain wiped his coppice on a dead shuffler's rags, his mind already drifting. Coffee sounded good, maybe a splash of whiskey. He snorted softly, sheathing his weapons. Another day in the Deadlands survived, another hunt done time to get paid. But out there, beyond the ruins, something bigger stirred, something smarter, and Rain Dustwolf had no idea it was watching. Chapter 2 Echoes in the Ruins. The air thickened as rain pressed deeper into the ruins, the dust giving way to a damp, fungal reek that clawed at his lungs even through the mask, still better than inhaling spores. The runner pack was dead, their bodies already sinking into the cracked earth, but something nagged at him, a prickle along his spine, sharper than the usual Deadlands unease. He'd lived out here too long to ignore it. His blue eyes flicked across the shadowed sprawl, crumbling towers with Art Deco facades peeling like flayed skin, medieval stone walls webbed with rusted steam pipes, and a forest of twisted rebar poking through the sand. The place was a mausoleum, and he was its gravedigger. He slung his rifle off his shoulder, thumbing the scope's adjustment wheel with a faint click. The pack had been moving with purpose, herding those shufflers somewhere specific. Rain crouched, tracing a claw mark gouged into a slab of concrete, too deep for a runner, too deliberate. His lips thinned beneath the mask. Specialized bastard, he muttered, the words half lost in the wind. He'd heard whispers at Gravewatch, Magnus Ironclaw ranting about a potential rare breed stalking the trade routes. Rain hadn't bought it then. Now, he wasn't so sure. A faint screech pierced the silence, high and jagged like a child's cry twisted through a broken windpipe. Rain froze, his grip tightening on the rifle. Howler, rare as hell in his region, and a pain in the arse. The sound came again, echoing off the ruins, impossible to pin down. He straightened, slinging the rifle back and drawing his coppice instead. Pistol shots were too loud for this. A nest was close, and he'd be damned if he brought the whole fungal circus crashing down on him. The trail led him to a hulking structure, an old factory, its Gothic arches sagging under the weight of industrial smokestacks long gone cold. The windows were shattered, jagged teeth framing a maw of darkness. Fungal tendrils snaked up the walls, pulsing faintly, their spores drifting like ash in the dying light. Rain adjusted his goggles, the lenses whirring as they sharpened the gloom. His crank flashlight clicked on, strapped to his tactical rigging, casting a narrow beam across the threshold. The air inside was wet, heavy with the stench of rot and something sweeter, decay turning to mulch. He stepped in, boots sinking slightly into a carpet of fungal growth. The beam swept over rusted machinery, gears and pistons frozen mid-turn, a steampunk relic of a world that didn't survive. Shuffler corpses littered the floor, slumped against walls or tangled in the fungal webbing, their bodies bloated with parasitic growth. Slumpers, probably. Zombies too far gone to move properly, the ones who never made it to runner. Just sacks of fungus waiting to burst. Rain kept his distance, his coppice raised. One wrong step and he'd be breathing spores thick enough to turn his brain to mush, overwhelming his mask. The howler's cry rang out again, closer now, bouncing off the high ceiling. Rain's beam caught movement, a small, scrawny figure scuttling across a catwalk overhead. Pale skin stretched tight over bones, fungal veins glowing faintly beneath it. Its head snapped toward him, mouth gaping in a scream that rattled his teeth. The sound was a beacon, and he knew what came next. Shuffling footsteps echoed from the shadows. Slow, wet, relentless. Bloody brilliant, Rain growled, spinning as three shufflers lurched from a side corridor. His kukri flashed, slicing through the first one's neck, the head rolling with a sickening plop. The second caught his pauldron with clawing hands, and he rammed the coppice hilt first into its chest, cracking ribs before slashing its throat. The third stumbled over a pipe, and he buried the blade in its skull, fungal gore splattering his gloves. Above, the howler screeched again, darting out of sight. Rain wiped his blade on his coat, breathing hard. At least there wasn't goblins and runners, he thought. The nest was alive now. Shufflers groaning in the dark, their numbers swelling. He needed out, but not before he saw it. That prickle hadn't faded. He edged deeper, flashlight cutting through the murk, until he reached a loading bay. The air here was suffocating. Spores so dense his mask's filter whined in protest. Fungal walls pulsed, veins of glowing green threading through the rot. And there, in the center, a shadow loomed. It wasn't a shuffler, not a runner either. Taller, broader, its silhouette humanoid, but wrong. Arms too long, one ending in a jagged claw that gleamed like bone. Fungal tendrils writhed from its back, coiling like a predator's tail. It turned, and Rain's beam caught its face. Half a gas mask fused to decayed flesh, a tattered trench coat, decayed leather armor, one eye glowing a sickly yellow. It didn't charge, didn't scream. It just watched, head tilting with a childlike curiosity that made his skin crawl. Rain's mind raced. Specialized, smarter than the rest. He'd seen zombified bears before, even a wolves, but this? This was human, once. A soldier or deadlander, maybe, judging by the mask. His finger hovered over the pistol trigger, but the thing shifted, vanishing into a tunnel of fungal growth before he could fire. The howler's cry faded, and the shufflers went still, as if some unseen signal had calmed them. He backed out, heart pounding beneath his half-plate. The nest was too big, too active, and that thing, whatever it was, knew he was here. Rain holstered his weapons, slipping into the dusk outside. The ruins loomed silent again, but the weight of that yellow eye lingered. He needed a job, supplies, answers. Gravewatch was his next stop. Magnus owed him a drink and a damn good explanation. As he trudged south toward his bunker, the wind carried a faint, bitter thought. Coffee'd be nice right now. Whiskey'd be better. He smirked, but it didn't reach his eyes. The Deadlands were waking up, and he had a feeling the hunt was just beginning. Chapter 3, Gravewatch. Bargain. The trek to Gravewatch took Rain through a stretch of Deadlands that smelled like rust and despair. The desert sands gave way to rocky desert and a jagged ridge of ruined suburbs, half-timbered houses sagging beneath industrial smokestacks, their Art Deco flourishes smeared with fungal grime. His boots crunched over shattered glass and rodent bones, one of the only things immune to the parasite chewing through this world. The sun was a fading bruise on the horizon by the time the outpost's walls loomed into view, towering slabs of steel and stone, medieval battlements studded with steam-powered rotary turrets hissing faintly in the dusk. Gravewatch wasn't a city, just a scar on the map between cities Valmontane and Calderon. A haven for hunters, traders, and fools too stubborn to die. Its gates creaked open as Rain approached, his trench coat flapping in the wind, pauldrons glinting dully under the outpost's flickering gas lamps. A guard in patchwork armor, an ugly mix of chainmail and welded plating, nodded him through, recognizing the dust wolf by the wolf motif on his pauldrons and the blood-streaked coppice sheathed on his back. Inside, the outpost buzzed with the kind of life that thrived on desperation. Stalls lined the dirt-packed streets, hawkers shouting over the clatter of steam carts. Fresh rat skewers, 2 bullets apiece. Ammo clips, forged in Eisenkrone. Don't jam like that Dunmere shit. Buildings leaned together like drunkards. Gothic arches propping up rusted iron roofs, their windows glowing with the dim orange of oil lanterns. A brothel sign swung lazily, its faded letters promising warmth and company for a handful of bullets. Rain's lip twitched. Tempting, but he had business first. He made for the central keep, a squat fortress of stone and steel that doubled as Gravewatch's graveworker's post. The door groaned as he shoved it open, stepping into a haze of cigar smoke and the tang of spilled ale. Hunters lounged at mismatched tables, some medieval trestles, others dented metal slabs, swapping tales of shuffler kills and runner chases. A few eyed Rain warily. His reputation cut both ways out here. Magnus Ironclaw held court at the back, sprawled in a chair that looked like it had been ripped from a steamship's bridge. He was a bear of a man, pushing 50, with a grizzled beard and a face carved from hard years. His right hand, his namesake, was a mechanical monstrosity, a clawed prosthetic of brass and iron, pistons clicking as he flexed it, the little boiler humming. More show than functionality, but it was fine show. His armor was a patchwork of steel plates and leather, medieval in shape but riveted with industrial precision, and a massive axe rested against his thigh, its blade notched from countless hunts. A Deadlander like Rain, but one who'd traded solitude for a petty fiefdom for his retirement. Well, if it ain't the legendary Dust Wolf, Magnus rumbled, his voice like gravel under boots. He waved off a wiry hunter mid-story, some poor sod named Piers, who slunk away muttering, "Thought you'd be neck-deep in a nest by now, not gracing my doorstep." Rain pulled off his mask, letting it dangle from his neck, and scratched his beard. "Ran into something uglier than your mug out there," he said, dropping into a chair across from Magnus. Specialized. Big, smart, wearing half a gas mask like it's still got a face worth saving. You know anything about it? Magnus's good eye narrowed, the other hidden under a scarred lid. He took a drag on his cigar, exhaling a plume that curled around the steam pipes overhead. Heard rumors, caravans going quiet between here and Valmontane. Thought it was runners till a scout came back babbling about a thing with a huge claw and a soldier's stance. Didn't believe him. Should have known you'd sniff it out. Sniffed it, saw it, didn't kill it. Needs a bounty, Rain said, leaning back. His fingers drummed on the table, itching for a cup of coffee. He knew this dump wouldn't have. Nest was too hot to push solo. Figured you'd pay to see it dead. Magnus barked a laugh, the claw clicking as he tapped the table. Straight to business, eh? Fine. 50 bullets, 10 ration tins, and a bottle of my private stock whiskey, not that swill they peddle out front. Bring me its head, Wolf, and it's yours. Rain's brow arched. 60 bullets, 15 tins, and 2 bottles. It's smarter than your average runner, and I'm not dying for your cheap ass. Cheeky bastard. Magnus growled, but a grin split his face. Done. But you're on your own. My crew's tied up clearing shufflers and a nest off the Ashen Reach Road. Don't come crying if it guts you. Crying's your style, Claw, Rain shot back, standing. I'll be back with its skull by week's end. Keep the whiskey warm, Magnus chuckled, waving him off. Rain adjusted his goggles and stepped back into the night, the outpost's clamour fading behind him. The job was set, but that yellow eye still gnawed at him, watching, waiting. His bunker was a half-day's hike, and he'd ride the steam cycle back tomorrow, noise be damned. For now, he slipped into the shadows, tracing the ridge toward home. He didn't hear the faint rustle behind him. Not yet. Didn't see the skittish figure darting through the ruins, chased by snarls and snapping jaws. But the Deadlands had a way of throwing curveballs, and Rain Dustwolf was about to catch one whether he liked it or not. Chapter 4, The Stray Dog. The Deadlands didn't sleep, but they dozed fitfully under a moon choked by dust clouds. Rain trudged along the ridge back to his bunker, the weight of the Gravewatch deal settling into his bones. 60 bullets, 15 tins, 2 bottles. Decent haul for a specialized skull, if he didn't end up as fungal chow first. His flashlight beam danced over the ruins, a crumbled chapel with a steampunk organ half melted into its pews, a row of Art Deco storefronts swallowed by sand, their neon signs long dead. The air was dry now, the fungal stench fading, but his mask stayed on. Better safe than sprouting tendrils from your eyeballs. A scream shattered the quiet. Human, raw, and close. Rain's head snapped up, hand dropping to his pistol. Sometimes humans are meaner than zombies. Another yell, cut off by a wet snarl. Runners, he cursed under his breath, flicking off the flashlight and crouching behind a rusted steam wagon. His goggles whirred, adjusting to the dark as he scanned the shadows. Movement flickered 50 yards east, a lanky figure sprinting through the ruins, stumbling over debris. Behind it, 3 runners loped in pursuit, their fungal-crusted limbs jerking with unnatural speed. One let out a guttural bark, herding the others like a pack alpha. Idiot, Rain muttered. Out here you didn't run from runners, you hid, you fight, or you die. He could slip away now, let the fool draw them off. But something about the chase tugged at him. Maybe the way the figure clutched an axe like it was his last prayer, or the sheer stupidity of screaming in a runner's backyard. Rain sighed, drawing his kukri. Fine. One good deed for the year. He broke cover, moving low and fast, his trench coat whispering against the ground. The figure, a man, young, wiry, tripped over a slab of concrete, sprawling face first with a grunt. The lead runner lunged, claws gleaming, and Rain intercepted it, slamming his pauldron into its chest. The impact sent it staggering, and he drove the kukri through its neck, severing fungal cords with a spray of black ichor. The blade yanked free, dripping as the second runner wheeled on him, jaws snapping. "Stay down!" Rain barked at the man who'd scrambled to his knees, axe trembling in his grip. The runner charged, and Rain sidestepped, slashing its hamstring. With a wet crack it collapsed, thrashing, and he finished it with a downward slash to the skull bone, giving was with a crunch, the sound echoing like a death knell. The third runner hesitated, yellow eyes glinting, then bolted into the ruins, abandoning its pack. Rain holstered his gun, wiping his kukri on his pants as he turned to the stranger. "You deaf or just dumb? Screaming's a dinner bell out here." The man glared up at him, panting, his pale face smeared with dirt and sweat. Black hair stuck to his forehead, and a patchy goatee framed a scowl. He was maybe 23, with brown eyes that burned hot despite the fear twitching in them. His outfit mirrored Rain's in grit, if not style. A tattered trench coat over leather armor, no plates, patched with industrial stitching. A revolver hung on his hip, a 4-gauge pump-action shotgun slung across his back, and a broad-headed axe dangled from his hand, its blade chipped but bloody. Steampunk goggles sat crooked on his head, one lens cracked. "Didn't ask for your help," he snapped, shoving himself up. His voice had an edge. English, maybe German, roughened by hunger and spite. "Could have handled it." Rain snorted, sheathing his kukri. "Sure. You were handling it real well, face down and about to be lunch. What's your name, hero?" "Kine," he said, brushing sand off his coat. "Just Kane. And I don't owe you shit. Deadlander, huh? No title, though. Fresh meat." Rain's blue eyes flicked over him, sizing up the skittish stance, the trembling hands. "Runaway, I'm guessing. Slave who got tired of the whip." Kane's jaw tightened, but he didn't deny it. "What's it to you?" "Nothing. Just don't like dragging corpses out of my backyard." Rain turned, heading south again. "Go back to wherever you crawled from. Deadlands will eat you alive." Kane didn't move, but his voice chased after him. "Wait, look, I'm starving. Haven't eaten in days. Those bastards chased me from a scav run. Got nowhere else to go." Rain stopped, half turning. "Not my problem." "You saved me," Kane pressed, stepping closer. "That's got to mean something. I'm not useless. Know my way around a fight. Let me stick with you just till I get my feet under me." Rain stared at him, the silence stretching. His mind drifted. Coffee, whiskey, the dog-eared Moby Dick waiting in his bunker. Babysitting some hot-headed stray wasn't on the list. But Kane's axe had blood on it, and those runners hadn't caught him easy. Maybe he wasn't all bluff. Plus, a second pair of hands might tip the scales against that specialized bastard Magnus wanted dead. "This is your influence, Ivan," Rain thought sighed. "Fine," Rain said at last, voice flat. "You tag along, you pull your weight. First sign you're more trouble than you're worth, I leave you for the shufflers. Deal?" Kane nodded, a flicker of relief breaking through his scowl. "Deal." "Good. Keep up and keep quiet." Rain started walking again, Kane falling in behind him. The younger man clutched his axe like a lifeline, throwing wary glances at the dark. Rain smirked to himself. Skittish pup, huh? More like a kicked pup. He'd figure the kid out later. Right now, he had a bunker to reach and a hunt to plan. Behind them, the runner's corpse twitched once, fungal tendrils curling in the sand. Out in the ruins, that yellow eye watched again, unblinking, patient as death. Chapter 5, Steel and Shadow. The hike to Iron Hollow took the better part of a day, the Deadlands unfurling in a patchwork of ruin and menace. Rain led the way, his trench coat kicking up dust as he navigated a maze of crumbled highways and overgrown rail yards. He'd, against going home, didn't want the pup knowing where he lived, yet humans are meaner than zombies sometimes. Cain trailed a few paces back, axe in hand, his breath ragged from hunger and the relentless pace. The sun beat down, baking the sand into a cracked mirror, and Rain's mask filtered the faint spore haze drifting from a distant nest. He didn't talk much, didn't need to. Kane's muttering filled the silence anyway, a grumbled litany of curses aimed at the heat, the runners, and his empty stomach. By late afternoon, Iron Hollow rose from the haze, a jagged fortress wedged between cities 5 and 6, its walls a brutal fusion of medieval stone and industrial steel plates. Steam vents hissed along the ramparts, spewing clouds that mingled with the outpost's perpetual smog, scorching fungal spores in the air. Gothic spires jutted from the skyline, their Art Deco curves warped by years of jury-rigged repairs. A heavy gate rattled open as they approached, guarded by a hulking figure in a riveted breastplate and a gas mask that looked like it had seen too many fights. He waved them in with a grunt, eyeing Kane's twitchy grip on his axe. The outpost buzzed with a rougher edge than Gravewatch, less swagger, more grit. Labourers hauled crates of scrap metal through muddy streets, their shouts drowned by the clank of hammers from a nearby forge. Stalls hawked everything from salvaged gears to roasted rat legs and stewed crow, the air thick with grease and desperation. A brothel's neon sign flickered weakly. Iron rose, its promise of comfort undercut by the gaunt faces peering from the windows. Rain's nose wrinkled behind his mask and he shivered. He'd pass this time. Kane was enough of a headache. Stay close, he said, voice low as they wove through the crowd. This place eats strays like you for breakfast. Kane shot him a glare but stuck to his flank, shotgun slung low. I'm not some kid you need to nursemaid. I've survived worse than this dump. Sure you have, Rain drawled, pausing at a trader's stall. The vendor, an older woman with a French lilt, Marie Dubois, leaned over a counter piled with ammo clips and dented canteens. Her hair was tied back with a strip of leather, and a monocle gleamed over one eye, whirring as it focused on him. Dust Wolf, she greeted, her tone dry, careful. Still alive, I see. What's with the tag-along? Lost dog I found in the dirt, Rain said, jerking a thumb at Kane. Need mags, clips, shells, 30 rounds, 2 mags, 1 clips, Eisen rifle and Kurt 45 mix, 4-gauge slug belt. 2 ration tins if you've got 'em. Marie smirked, fishing under the counter. Got a fresh batch from Eisenkroner. 25 bullets for the ammo, 1 tin. Take it or leave it, supplies tight with the caravans getting hit. Rain's eyes narrowed. Caravans? Specialized human? Bastard with one glowing eye, big claw, looks like someone stuffed their penis in an active steam boiler's pressure release vent. Maybe, she said, smirking, sliding the goods across. Heard it took out a trade run near Novovostok last week. Left nothing but bones and fungus. You're mad to hunt it, Wolf. Mad keeps me fed, he replied, swapping a handful of scavenged coins for the haul. He tucked the ammo box into his backpack, passing the tin to Kane. Eat slow, pup. Don't choke. Kane snatched it, tearing the lid off with a snarl. Stop calling me that. He shoveled the grey meat mush into his mouth, barely chewing, and Rain turned away, scanning the outpost. Marie's intel wasn't news, Magnus had said as much, but it tightened the knot in his gut. That thing was moving and he was running out of time. Trouble found them before they could move on. A burly figure shouldered through the crowd. Gertrude Voss, Iron Hollow's mercenary captain. She was a wall of muscle in riveted armor, her blonde braids swinging like a whip. A steam-powered crossbow hung at her hip, and her German accent cut through the noise as she barked at a pair of labourers. Her grey eyes landed on Rain, then flicked to Kane, who was licking the tin clean with a scowl. Wolf, she said, striding over. Heard you took Magnus's job. You're late on my cut from the last one. 10 bullets now. Rain crossed his arms, voice flat. Paid you in Dunmere last month. Check your ledger. Voss, I don't owe you squat. Gertrude's lip curled. Ledger says different. Fork it over, or... Kane stepped forward, axe rising. He said he paid. You deaf cow, back off. Rain's hand shot out, grabbing Kane's arm. Easy, idiot, he hissed. But Gertrude's crew, 3 goons in patched leather, closed in, hands on knives and clubs. The crowd parted, sensing blood. Got a mouthy pet, Wolf, Gertrude sneered. Teach him manners or I will. Kane yanked free, chest heaving. Try it, bitch. I'll split your skull before you blink. Rain groaned inwardly. Coffee sounded better than this shit show. He stepped between them, glaring at Kane. Shut it, now. Then to Gertrude. He's new, Voss. I'll handle him. No debt, no fight. Walk away now. She stared him down, saw Rain's eyes, then snorted. Keep your mutt on a leash, Wolf. Next time I don't ask nice. She waved her crew off, stomping back into the haze. Kane spat on the ground, trembling with fury. Should have let me take her. She's all talk. She'd have gutted you and used your hide for a rug, Rain snapped, shoving past him. You're lucky I didn't let her. Move, we're done here. Kane followed, muttering under his breath, but the fire in his eyes didn't fade. Rain adjusted his rifle sling, mind racing. Iron Hollow had what he needed, ammo, a lead, but Kane was a loose cannon. Useful maybe if he didn't get them both killed. The specialized zombie was out there, and every delay gave it ground. Next stop, Dunmere. Supplies, a bed, and a stiff drink. He'd need all three to survive this mess. In the distance, a runner howled, faint but sharp. The Deadlands didn't care about their squabbles, it just waited to feast. Chapter 6, City of Vice. Rain took Kane to his bunker, making him wait outside. Soon Dunmere's wood gates loomed like the jaws of a beast. Medieval stone ramparts fused with steel plating and crowned by hissing steam vents. Rain fired up his steam cycle for the last leg, the brass pipes growling as he tore across the dusty stretch, Kane clinging to the sidecar with a white-knuckled grip. The steam cycle's noise drew stares from a ragtag caravan ahead, but no runners stirred, too close to the city's turrets, their barrels glinting in the dusk. The guards waved them through with bored grunts, and the cycle's rumble faded as Rain cut the engine just inside the walls. Dunmere sprawled before them, a fever dream of clashing eras. Gothic keeps towered over Art Deco theatres, their facades lit by flickering gas lamps and neon signs buzzing with static. Steam pipes snaked through the streets, venting clouds that mingled with the stink of sweat, coal, and cheap liquor. Dunmere was a liberal democracy on paper, council-run, free trade, liberty. But the black market ran the show. Hawkers peddled everything from forged rifles to fungal-resistant grain, their voices a constant drone. A brothel's sign glowed ahead. Velvet Thorn, its red light promising oblivion for a fistful of bullets. Rain yanked off his goggles, stashing them in his belt as he swung off the cycle. "Welcome to paradise," he said, voice dry. "Don't touch anything you can't afford to lose." Kane climbed out, stretching his stiff legs with a grimace. "Smells like piss, ball sweat, and bad decisions. This your idea of a good time? Better than bleeding out in a nest." Rain shot back, securing the cycle behind a rusted stall. "Need ammo, food, and a bed. You're on lookout. Try not to start a war this time." Kane muttered something foul, but followed as Rain cut through the crowd. The streets teemed with life. Labourers in patched coats, merchants in gaudy vests, a dancer twirling for bullets under a steam-powered street lamp. Buildings leaned together, their medieval bones wrapped in industrial scars, iron shutters, riveted beams, and fungal-proof sealant smeared over cracked stone. A tavern's door swung open, spilling laughter and the clink of mugs, and Rain's mind drifted. Coffee, whiskey, a book. He shook it off. Business first. They hit a supply depot near the market square, a squat bunker of steel and brick run by a wiry Russian named Dmitry Volkov. His moustache twitched as he sized them up, a monocle whirring over one eye. "Dust Wolf," he greeted, accent thick. "Thought you'd be dead by now." "Who's the stray?" "Kane," Rain said, ignoring the younger man's glare. "Need 4 eyes and rifle mags, 2 Kurt 45 clips, 3 ration tins, 2 water canteens. Got a job lined up, Magnus's dime." Dmitri chuckled, rummaging behind the counter. "That specialized thing? Heard it's tearing up caravans. 3 rifle mags, 2 pistol clip, 2 tins, and the water. Best I can do. 40 bullets up front." Rain haggled him down to 35, sliding the payment across as Dmitri tossed the goods into a sack. "Word's out," the Russian added, leaning in. "Caravan hiring muscle tonight, leaving for Valmontane at dawn. Runners hit their last run hard. Might be your monster's trail." Rain nodded, tucking the sack under his arm. "Worth a look. Thanks, Volkov." They stepped out, Kayan cracking open a tin and wolfing it down as they headed for a boarding house, a creaking pile of stone and iron with a sign reading Crow's Rest. Rain booked a room with 2 cots, tossing Kane a key. "Stay put. I'm grabbing a drink and a distraction. Don't burn the place down." Kane flopped onto a cot, shotgun across his lap. "Fine. Don't catch something you can't cure." Rain smirked, heading for the Velvet Thorn. The brothel's interior was dim, all velvet curtains and brass fixtures, the air heavy with perfume and smoke. A woman in a corset, Lotta, a regular, sidled up, her German accent purring as she dragged him to a corner table. He sank into the chair, whiskey in hand, her fingers tracing his pauldron as he let the day's tension bleed out. Lotta wasn't love, just a warm body and a sharp tongue. His kind of company. 2 drinks in, he was debating her offer of a room when shouts erupted outside. He shoved through the door, Lotta cursing behind him, and found Kane pinned against a wall by a cartel thug, big, scarred, with a pistol jammed under Kane's chin. A second goon held his shotgun, smirking. Rain groaned. "What now?" "He bumped me, then swung," the thug snarled, English clipped with a French twist. Jean-Paul, a mid-tier enforcer for the Leclerc family. "Little shit's got a death wish." Kane's eyes blazed, blood trickling from his lip. He stepped on my foot and laughed. "Should have gutted him." Rain stepped forward, voice cold. "Let him go, Jean-Paul. He's mine. You want trouble, take it up with me." Jean-Paul hesitated, then shoved Kane free, spitting on the ground. "Keep your dog chained, Wolf. Next time he's meat." The goon swaggered off, tossing Kane's shotgun into the mud. Rain hauled Kane up by the collar, voice low and furious. "What did I say about starting wars? You're a walking disaster." Kane yanked free, grabbing his gun. "Not my fault he's a prick. You'd have done the same." "Doubt it," Rain said. "Okay, maybe," Rain thought, turning back to the brothel. "Clean up. We're on that caravan job at dawn. Screw this up and you're on your own." Kane wiped his mouth, muttering, but followed. The night settled over Dunmere, its vice-stained streets humming with life. Out in the Deadlands, a runner's howl answered the wind, and something smarter listened, waiting for its chance. Chapter 7. Caravan Carnage. The caravan rolled out of Dunmere at dawn, a rattling convoy of passenger steam wagons and armoured carts creaking under the weight of trade goods, grain sacks, weapon crates, and lumber bound for Valmontaigne. Rain rode shotgun on the lead wagon, his rifle resting across his lap, goggles fogged by the morning haze. Kane slouched beside him, axe propped against his knee, still nursing a bruised ego from the brothel brawl. The driver, a grizzled man with an English accent named Edgar Hawthorne, kept his eyes on the cracked road, muttering about runner sightings. 6 wagons, 12 guards, and a promise of 20 bullets each for the trip. Easy money, Rain had figured. He should have known better. Night fell fast in the Deadlands, the sun swallowed by a sky thick with dust and spore clouds. The caravan halted near a skeletal town, crumbling storefronts with Art Deco signs dangling like hanged men, medieval stone wells choked by fungal vines. Edgar lit steam lanterns, their hiss cutting through the stillness as the guards set a perimeter. Rain climbed down, stretching his legs, his mask filtering the damp rot wafting from a nearby ravine, and night spores in the air. "Stay sharp," he told Kane, slinging his rifle. "Runners love the dark." Kane smirked, pumping his shotgun. "Let 'em come. I owe something a bad day." Rain didn't reply, his gaze sweeping the ruins. The something felt off, too quiet, too still. His flashlight beam caught a glint in the distance. Metal, maybe bone. Then the first howl split the night, a runner's bark echoing from the ravine. Guards tensed, crossbows and rifles snapping up. Edgar cursed, fumbling with a flare gun. "Hold steady!" he yelled, but the words drowned as screeches erupted, dozens closing fast. The herd hit like a storm, shufflers stumbled from the shadows, their fungal-crusted bodies lurching forward, jaws gaping. Runners darted between them, lean and vicious, herding the horde with canine snarls. Rain fired first down sights with his scoped semi-auto rifle, 30-06 cracking as a runner's head exploded in a spray of black gore. Kane pumped his shotgun and blasted, slug-shredding 2 shufflers into wet chunks, their limbs twitching in the dirt. The guards opened up, bolts and bullets tearing through the swarm, but the numbers kept swelling. "Flare now!" Rain shouted, slashing his kukri through a shuffler's neck, fungal blood splattering his coat. Edgar fired the flare, a red streak arcing skyward, but it only lit the chaos, wagons tipping, guards screaming as runners dragged them into the dark. One wagon flipped, its steam engine rupturing with a scalding hiss, boiling a shuffler alive as it shrieked. Kane roared, burying his axe in a runner's skull, the blade wrenching free with a sickening crunch. "Too many," he yelled, pumping another shell. Rain pivoted, pistol barking as he dropped a runner mid-leap, its claws raking his pauldron. The metal held, but the impact staggered him. He glanced at the ravine, movement bigger than the rest. A shadow with a gas mask, yellow eye glinting. The specialized bastard. It didn't charge, just watched, like a general sizing up a battlefield. A scream cut through the din. Not a guard's. High, panicked, female. Rain's head snapped toward a toppled wagon. Its canvas torn open, splattered red and black from the inside. A figure scrambled from the wreckage. Young, brunette, clad in a hooded trench coat over leather armor and shorts. She swung a bow, an arrow piercing a shuffler's eye, then drew a dagger, slashing another's throat with grace. Her half-mask dangled loose, brown eyes wide with terror as a runner lunged. Rain moved without thinking, tackling the beast mid-air. They hit the ground hard, his kopis plunging into its chest, fungal sludge soaking his gloves. He rolled free, hauling the girl up. "Move!" he barked, shoving her toward Kane. She stumbled but kept her feet, knocking another arrow as Kane blasted a path clear. The specialized zombie screeched, a low guttural command, and the runners broke off, herding the shufflers back into the ravine. The silence that followed was worse than the noise, broken only by the groans of dying guards and the hiss of dying steam. Edgar was gone, throat torn out, slumped over the lead wagon. 4 guards survived, bleeding and shell-shocked. The girl stood panting, bow trembling in her hands. Rain wiped his blade, turning to her. "Who the hell are you?" "Evi," she said, voice shaky but sharp. "Evie Baudelaire, my family, performers. We were headed to Valmontaigne. King's orders. That thing." She trailed off, staring at the ravine. "Specialized," Rain finished, holstering his pistol. "Been hunting it. Looks like it's hunting back." Kane spat blood into the dirt, eyeing her. "Great. Another stray. We keeping her too?" Rain ignored him, sizing Evi up. Pale, lean, built for speed, her dancer's poise showed even now. She'd held her own barely. "You hurt?" She shook her head, adjusting her mask. "No, just they're all dead. My parents, everyone." "Sorry's not going to fix that," Rain said, blunt but not cruel. "Stick with us till dawn. After that, you're on your own." Evi nodded, clutching her bow tighter. The surviving guards limped over, one, a wiry Frenchman, Pierre, muttering thanks. Rain waved him off. "Salvage what you can. We're moving before it circles back." Kane kicked a shuffler corpse, grumbling. "Night's young, and we're babysitting. Perfect." Rain smirked faintly, reloading his rifle. "Could be worse. Could be you in the dirt." He glanced at the ravine. That yellow eye burned into his mind. The hunt was personal now, and the Deadlands weren't done with them yet. Chapter 8: The Dancer's Debt. The wreckage of the caravan smoldered under a moon shrouded in spore haze, the air heavy with the copper tang of blood and the hiss of cooling steam. Rain crouched by the flipped lead wagon, rummaging through scattered crates for anything worth salvaging. His flashlight beam cut through the dark, glinting off dented ration tins and a cracked ammo box. 10 rifle rounds, 30-06, better than nothing. Around him, the surviving guards, Pierre and 3 others, picked through the debris, their faces pale and drawn. Kane stood watch, shotgun propped on his shoulder, kicking at a shuffler corpse with a scowl. Evi sat apart, perched on a slab of concrete, her bow across her lap, staring at the ravine where the specialized zombie had vanished. Rain straightened, tucking the ammo into his belt. His trench coat was stiff with drying gore, and his pauldrons bore fresh scratches from the runner's claws. He glanced at Evi, small, fragile-looking in her leather armor and shorts, but the way she'd fought said otherwise. Her brunette hair clung to her neck, damp with sweat, and her brown eyes were hollow, fixed on nothing. He'd seen that look before. The moment survival turned to realization. "Pierre," Rain called, voice low. The wiry guard shuffled over, a bandage wrapped around his arm, the smell of cauterization and saline hanging about him. "You lot heading back to Dunmere?" Pierre nodded, wiping blood from his brow. "We can't stay here. That thing, it'll come back." "Smart. Take what you can carry and go. We'll cover you till you're clear." Rain jerked his head at Kane. "Pup, help 'em load up." Kane glared but didn't argue, slinging his shotgun and hefting a crate of grain onto a salvaged cart. The guards worked fast, piling supplies as the night pressed in, every rustle in the ruins making them flinch. Rain approached Evi, stopping a few feet away. "You're not moving like someone with a plan. What's yours?" She didn't look up, her fingers tracing the bowstring. "No plan. They're gone. My parents, my troop. All I had." Her voice cracked, but she swallowed it down. "King Alaric wanted us in Valmontaigne for some show. Now it's just me." Rain shifted, his mask dangling from his neck, the cold air biting his beard. "Deadlands don't care about your story. You've got two choices. Tag along with them," he nodded at the guards, "or figure out how to not die out here alone." Evi's head snapped up, eyes flashing. "I'm not helpless. I killed two of those things back there." "Didn't say you were," Rain replied, calm but firm. "Said you're alone. Big difference." She stood, brushing dirt off her trench coat, her movements sharp despite the tremble in her hands. "You saved me." "Why?" "Dumb luck and a bad habit of not letting people get eaten in front of me," he said, shrugging. "Don't read into it." She stepped closer, her dancer's grace cutting through her exhaustion. "I don't have anywhere to go. Let me stay with you. Just for now. I can fight, track, whatever you need. I'll earn my keep." Rain's jaw tightened. Another stray. Kane was trouble enough, and this one had baggage written all over her. But those brown eyes held a spark, volatile, rash, but stubborn as hell. He saw potential there, raw and untested. "Fine. 2 good deeds for the year it is." He thought. "Fine," he said at last. "Same rules as him. Pull your weight or you're out. Don't expect me to coddle you." "I won't," she said, a faint edge of defiance in her tone. She adjusted her half-mask, pulling it snug over her face, and slung her bow over her shoulder. Kane trudged back, wiping sweat from his brow. "Guards are set. What's she doing here?" "Joining us," Rain said, turning to check his rifle. "Deal with it." Kane's scowl deepened. "First me, now her. What's next, a whole damn orphanage? Keep whining and I'll trade you for a quieter model." Rain shot back, a smirk tugging at his lips. Kane huffed, but the fight drained out of him, replaced by a grudging slump. Pierre waved from the cart. "We're off, Wolf. Merci. For the cover." Rain nodded, watching as the guards rolled out, their lanterns fading into the dark. He turned to his new crew, Kane, restless and bristling, and Evi, silent but coiled like a spring. "We're not staying either. That thing's too close and it's got our scent. Bunker's a day south. Move fast. Stay quiet." Evi fell in beside him as they started walking, her boots light on the cracked earth. "What's it like? Living out here?" "Hard," Rain said, eyes scanning the ruins. "Lonely. You get used to it. Or you don't." She nodded, absorbing that, then glanced at Kane. "He doesn't seem lonely." "Pup's too loud to be lonely," Rain said, loud enough for Kane to hear. "Thinks yelling keeps the Deadlands at bay." Kane snorted, axe swinging at his side. "Better than brooding over coffee like some old man." Evi's lips twitched, the ghost of a smile, fragile but real. Rain caught it, filing it away. She'd lost everything, but she wasn't broken. Not yet. The ravine loomed behind them, its shadows thick with unseen eyes. The specialized zombie was out there, plotting, and Rain knew this was just the start. For now, he had 2 shadows trailing him and a hunt that wouldn't wait. Chapter 9, Nest of the Damned. The Deadlands stretched silent and treacherous as Rain led Kane and Evie south toward his bunker, the night deepening into a black void, pierced only by his flashlight beam. The ruined town they'd left behind faded into memory, replaced by a sprawling industrial graveyard. Rusted silos leaning like broken sentinels, medieval stone arches tangled with fungal vines, and Art Deco facades crumbling into the sand. Rain's pace slowed as they neared a sunken rail yard, its tracks swallowed by dust. He raised a fist, signaling a halt, his blue eyes narrowing through his goggles. "Tracks?" he said, kneeling to brush sand from claw marks gouged into a steel tie. "Fresh. Runners, maybe more. Headed west." Kane crouched beside him, axe resting on his shoulder. That thing from the caravan? Likely, Rain replied, standing. Too deliberate for a pack. It's marking for others to follow. He adjusted his mask, the filter humming faintly against the spore-thick air. Nest's close. We follow, we find it. Evie shifted, her bow strung and ready, her voice tight. You're sure it's not a trap? Not sure of anything, Rain said, checking his rifle. But I'm not waiting for it to come to me. You in or out? She nodded, gripping her dagger. Kane cracked his neck, shotgun in hand. Let's kill the bastard. Rain led them west, tracing the tracks to a hulking structure, an old train depot. Its Gothic roof collapsed into a maze of steel beams and fungal growth. The walls were a patchwork of stone and riveted iron, windows shattered into jagged moors. Tendrils pulsed along the exterior, glowing faintly, their spores drifting like ash. The air was wet, rancid, clinging to their coats as they approached the entrance, a gaping hole where double doors had rusted away. Lights on, masks tight, Rain said, flicking his flashlight to his belt. Shufflers'll be thick in there. Runners, too. If it's a nest, don't breathe deep. Spores'll root in your lungs, no saving you. Kane adjusted his half-mask, muttering, Can't wait. Evie pulled hers snug, her brown eyes sharp behind cracked goggles. They stepped inside, boots sinking into a carpet of fungal rot, the beams cutting tight shadows across the gloom. The depot's interior was a cathedral of decay. Rotted train cars sat on warped tracks, their steel hulls webbed with glowing tendrils. Slumpers slumped against the walls, zombies reduced to fungal sacks, their bodies bloated and still, oozing black sludge. Shufflers shuffled in the dark, their groans echoing off the high ceiling. Rain's light caught one lurching from behind a car, and he slipped in behind it, gave its head a sharp twist, its head lolled, and put his kukri in its forehead, a spray of gore that splattered across its face. Keep moving, he whispered, stepping over the corpse. Kane took point, shotgun ready, while Evie flanked, arrow nocked. The nest tightened around them, corridors narrowing into fungal-choked tunnels, the air so dense their filters whined. A shuffler lunged from a side passage, and Kane blasted it apart, the boom deafening in the close quarters. Chunks of flesh and fungus rained down, sticking to his coat. Quiet, damn it! Rain hissed, but the damage was done. A chorus of groans rose, joined by a runner's snarl. Three barreled from the shadows, gaunt, fast, their fungal veins pulsing. Rain dropped one with a headshot, the rifle's report ringing in his ears. Evie loosed an arrow, pinning a second through the chest. It staggered, clawing at the shaft, and she finished it with a dagger to the skull, black blood coating her gloves. Kane swung his axe, cleaving the third's head clean off, the body twitching as it hit the floor. Nice shot, Kane grunted at Evie, wiping his blade. She smirked, fleeting but fierce. Rain didn't smile. His light swept deeper, catching a cavernous chamber, once a loading bay, now a fungal heart. Tendrils carpeted the floor, walls pulsing with glowing veins, slumpers dotting the edges like grotesque statues. In the center, a pile of bones gleamed, human, fresh, stripped clean. Above, a catwalk sagged, and a shadow moved, tall, broad, gas mask glinting in the dark. That yellow eye locked on them, unblinking, before it slipped into a tunnel. There, Rain barked, breaking into a run. Kane and Evie followed, boots slipping on the slick rot. The chamber erupted, shufflers rising, runners dropping from the catwalk. Rain slashed his coppice through a shuffler's neck, fungal guts splashing his pauldrons. Kane fired, the shotgun slug shredding two at once, their torsos exploding in a wet mess. Evie danced between them, an arrow sinking into a runner's eye, her dagger slashing another's throat as it lunged. They hit the tunnel entrance, a narrow shaft of stone and steel, fungal walls closing in. Rain's light caught claw marks, deep, deliberate, leading up. It's climbing, he said, slinging his rifle and drawing his kukri. We're right behind it. The tunnel twisted, the air suffocating, spores clogging their filters. A runner ambushed from a side vent, tackling Kane. He roared, slamming its head against the wall, fungal skull cracking like an egg. then finished it with his axe, panting. Too damn tight in here. Keep going, Rain snapped, pushing past. The tunnel opened into a platform, rusted girders overlooking the bay, fungal tendrils dangling like nooses. The specialized zombie stood at the edge, gas mask tilted, claw arm gleaming. It didn't attack, just watched, then leaped, vanishing into the dark below. Rain cursed, peering over the edge. Lost it. Bastards toying with us. Evie caught her breath, wiping gore from her dagger. It's smart. Too smart. Smart dies same as dumb, Kane growled, reloading his shotgun. Next time, I'm blowing its head off. Rain didn't argue, but unease gnawed at him. The nest was a trap, not to kill, but to test. That thing knew them now. Out, he said, turning back. Regroup at the bunker. We're not ready for this yet. They retraced their steps, fighting through a thinning swarm, shufflers falling to blade and shot, the air thick with death. Outside, the night felt clean, the fungal stench fading. Rain's mind churned, coffee, whiskey, a plan. The hunt was on, and the Deadlands were playing for keeps. Interlude. Shadows of the past, the Deadlands hung in twilight as rain came, and Evie pressed south from the fungal-choked train depot, smoke bellowing after they lit a fire, the nest's rot fading into the dust behind them. The sky was a bruise of purple and grey, spore clouds drifting like ghosts over a landscape of shattered suburbs, half-timbered houses sagging beneath industrial smokestacks, their Art Deco facades peeled away by time. Rain led, his trench coat whispering against his greaves, rifle slung low, his flashlight beam cutting through the gloom. Kane trailed, axe resting on his shoulder, his breath sharp with the strain of the fight. Evie followed, bow slung, her steps light but weary, the weight of the day settling into her bones. They'd been walking an hour, the silence thick between them, broken only by the crunch of boots on gravel and the distant wail of a runner's too far to matter. Rain's bunker was close, 2 miles, maybe less, but the quiet gnawed at them, a void begging to be filled. Evie broke it first, her voice soft, testing the air as they skirted a rusted steam wagon. You're a Deadlander, Kane, she said, glancing at him. No title then, but Rain called you a runaway. What's your story? Kane's brown eyes flicked to her, then away, his goatee twitching as he chewed the question. He adjusted his shotgun sling, stalling, then shrugged. Not much to tell. Grew up in Novovostok, City 6, lawless shithole, run by the Volkov cartel. My folks were labourers, broke their backs hauling scrap till the fungus took 'em. Shufflers got sloppy one night. I was 10, maybe 11. Cartel snatched me after slave work, chains and all. Beat me till I stopped crying, then made me pit fight for scraps. Evie's pace slowed, her brown eyes softening, though her mask hid the frown. You were a kid. Kids don't last there, Kane said, voice flat but edged. Got good with an axe. Cracked skulls when they threw me in pit fights. Master was a pig named Grigori. Fat, drunk, liked to watch us bleed. Killed him. Axe to the throat, blood all over his fancy coat, grabbed his shotgun. Ran that night. Runners chased me out here, but I made it. Been scrapping out here since. Wanted to be a father someday. Build something better. Fat chance now. He kicked a stone, sending it skittering into the dark. Rain glanced back, blue eyes sharp but silent, then kept walking, listening, not judging. Evie absorbed it, her fingers tracing her dagger's hilt. That's why you're so pissed all the time, she said, half teasing. Angry at the world. Kane snorted, a flicker of a grin breaking through. Maybe. What about you, dancer? Caravan girl with a bow. Where's that come from? She hesitated, her gaze dropping to the cracked earth, then lifted it, voice steady but laced with ache. Valmontaigne, City 4, born there, raised by performers, my family, the Baudelaires, actors, singers, dancers, acrobats. Mum taught me to move. Parkour came from dodging stagehands as a kid, twirling through chaos. My sister's acrobats used to explore the city. Dad was the brains, taught me to read, think, hunt when we'd camp between shows. We were tight, respected, even by King Alaric. He summoned us for some grand performance, biggest gig we'd ever had. Then, you saw. Runners, that thing with the mask. I'm the last one left. Her words hung, heavy as the spore haze. Kane's scowl softened, his axe dipping slightly. Hell of a way to lose 'em. You're tougher than you look. Holding up after that. Had to, she said, shrugging, but her eyes glistened briefly before she blinked it away. Rain pulled me out, then you. Didn't want to be alone, still don't. Alone's overrated, Kane muttered, almost to himself, then louder. You're not bad company, Evie, even if you're a pain sometimes. She smirked, a spark of her rash edge cutting through. Right back at you, Kane. Least you're honest about it. Rain's voice cut in, dry and low from ahead. Touching tails, you two. Save the tears, bunkers up there. Move it. They glanced up. He stood on a rise, silhouetted against the fading light, pointing to the fortified police station's husk, its garage door a dark slit in the stone. Kane huffed, but his lips twitched. Evie laughed softly, the sound a rare ripple in the Deadlands gloom. They picked up pace, falling in behind him, their shadows stretching long, three shapes forged by loss, bound by dust and blood. The bunker loomed closer. Sanctuary. Rain's silence said he'd heard every word, filed it away. Kane's fury, Evie's grief, their fragile trust. The Deadlands whispered around them, a howler's cry faint on the wind, but for now they were a pack, raw, jagged, alive. The past lingered, but the hunt waited, and Rain's lessons would carry them through. Chapter 10. Fangs in the Dark. The trek to Rain's bunker stretched into the early hours, the Deadlands cloaked in a stillness that felt like a held breath. The rail yard had faded behind them, replaced by a dusty sprawl of ruined suburbs, half-timbered houses sagging under industrial smokestacks, their Art Deco flourishes peeled away by fungal rot. Rain led the way, his flashlight beam slicing through the dark, his trench coat stiff with dried gore. Kane followed, axe swinging at his side, his breath sharp with exhaustion. Evie brought up the rear, bow-strung, her steps light but tense, brown eyes darting to every shadow. The bunker loomed ahead, a fortified police station, its stone walls cracked but standing, medieval turrets fused with steel plating. The underground garage entrance sat beneath a collapsed overhang, its heavy iron door sealed tight. Rain knelt, firing up the steam lock with a hiss of pistons, the mechanism groaning as it slid open. Home sweet home, he muttered, waving them in. Lights on, weapons ready. Something's off. Kane frowned, shotgun raised. What's that mean? Means I don't like the quiet, Rain said. Why is the air filter off? Rain thought, stepping into the garage. His beam swept the space, concrete walls lined with shelves of gear, a cot beside a cluttered workbench, his steam cycle gleaming in the corner. Books sat stacked near a dented coffee pot, a flicker of comfort in the gloom. But the air was wrong. Damp, sour, heavier than it should have been. Evie froze, her voice a whisper. Spores. Faint, but here. Rain's mask snapped up, filter whirring. Nest breach. Check the corners. Now. They fanned out, beams cutting through the shadows. Kane reached the back wall, near a rusted vent, and cursed. Found it. The grate was pried open, fungal tendrils snaking from the hole, pulsing faintly. Before he could react, a slumper erupted, its bloated body splitting the vent apart, fungal mass spilling like a ruptured sack. It didn't move like a shuffler or runner, just lunged, a wall of rot and teeth knocking Kane flat. Shit! He roared, shotgun blasting point blank. The slug tore through its chest, spraying black sludge across the shelves. But the thing kept coming, fungal arms wrapping around him. Rain charged, coppice slashing through its neck, the head rolling with a wet thud. The body slumped, oozing, and he hauled Kane up, gore dripping from both of them. Pay attention, pup, Rain snapped, spinning as more groans echoed from the vent. Two slumpers dragged themselves out, slow, massive, their flesh distended with fungal growth, jaws gaping wider than humanly possible. Evie loosed an arrow, piercing one's eye. It shuddered but didn't stop. They're tough, she yelled, drawing her dagger. Rain fired his curt .45, 3 shots cracking into the second's skull, fungal brains splattering the steam cycle. It collapsed, but the first reached Evie, a claw swiping her leg. She yelped, tumbling back, blood welling through her shorts. Kane roared, axe burying into its spine with a crunch, fungal cords snapping. He hacked again, splitting its torso, the stench choking the air as it finally fell. "Stay down, damn it!" he shouted at Evie, panting, his coat soaked in rot. Rain grabbed a flare from his belt, lighting it with a hiss. "Vent's a nest feeder. Burn it out." He tossed it into the hole, flames licking up the tendrils, the glow illuminating more slumpers deeper in. The fire spread fast, too fast, fungus crackling like dry tinder, smoke billowing into the garage. "Out!" Rain barked, grabbing Evie's arm and pulling her up. She limped, clutching her dagger, blood streaking her leg. Kane snatched a crate of ammo from the shelves, stumbling after them. The blaze roared, heat searing their backs as they hit the ramp. Rain slammed the door shut, the steam lock grinding into place, sealing the inferno inside. "I took your nest, now you're taking mine, huh?" Outside, the night air hit like a slap, cold and spore-heavy. Rain dropped Evie against the wall, checking her wound, shallow, a graze, but bleeding steady. He yanked a bandage from his belt and a small salt vial, dumped the salt on the wound, then wrapping it tight, Evie squealed. "You'll live. Walk it off." She nodded, wincing but silent, her mask fogged with shaky breaths. Kane dumped the crate, kicking the dirt. "Whole damn bunker's gone." "What now?" Rain glared at him, voice ice. "Now you stop swinging that axe like a blind drunk and start thinking. Slumpers don't breach like that. Something drove 'em in." "The specialized?" Evie asked, pushing herself up. "Maybe," Rain said, reloading his pistol. "It's on now. Or we're just cursed. Either way, we're exposed. Nearest outpost's Ashen Reach, half a day west. We move at first light." Kane's fists clenched, his goatee twitching with fury. "This is bullshit. I didn't sign up to lose everything. You signed up to survive." Rain shot back, stepping close. "Cry later. We're alive. Focus on that." Kane glared, then deflated, slumping against the wall. Evie watched them, her voice soft but firm. "He's right. We're not dead yet. That's something." Rain snorted, a flicker of dark humor breaking through. "High praise from the dancer. Rest up. Dawn's in 3 hours. I'll take watch." He turned away, rifle slung, staring into the dark. The bunker was compromised, his sanctuary torched. Coffee and books were ash now, but the hunt remained. That yellow eye was out there, and it'd pay. Behind him, Kane and Evie settled into uneasy silence, the Deadlands whispering threats on the wind. Chapter 11. Ashen Reach Reckoning. Dawn broke over the Deadlands in a smear of grey and orange, the sun barely piercing the spore-choked haze. Rain led Kane and Evie west from the ruined bunker, his trench coat flapping against his greaves, rifle slung low. The loss of his sanctuary gnawed at him. Coffee, books, a decade of scavenged gear, all ash, but he shoved it down. Survival didn't leave room for mourning. Kane trudged beside him, axe dragging furrows in the sand, his temper simmering beneath exhaustion. Evie limped behind, her leg bandaged but stiff, bow clutched tight, her dancer's grace dulled by pain and sleeplessness. Ashen Reach emerged from the dust by mid-morning, a labour outpost carved into a rocky bluff between Dunmere and Calderon. Its walls were crude, stacked stone reinforced with steel girders, medieval turrets bristling with crossbows manned by hollow-eyed workers. Smoke belched from a central forge, its steam-powered hammers pounding relentlessly, shaping scrap into tools for Dunmere's black market. The outpost reeked of sweat, coal and despair, a prison dressed as industry, ruled by Yvonne Leclerc, a bastard known for breaking men as easily as metal. The gate guard, a gaunt Russian named Yuri, waved them in, his rifle trembling from fatigue. "State your business," he croaked, eyeing their blood-streaked armor. "Rest and resupply," Rain said, voice flat. "Got bullets to trade." Yuri nodded, stepping aside. Inside, the outpost buzzed with forced labor, men and women in tattered coats hauling ore, their chains clinking under the watch of armed overseers. Buildings were squat and functional. Stone barracks with iron roofs, Art Deco flourishes long since chipped away. A brothel's faded sign hung near the forge, ashen bloom, its promise of relief as hollow as the workers' stares. Rain led them to a supply shack, bartering 10 rifle rounds with a wiry trader, Franz, for 2 ration tins and a handful of pistol ammo. Heard about a caravan hit near here, Rain said, keeping his tone casual. Big zombie, gas mask. Ring any bells? Franz paled, glancing at the forge. Talk's dangerous here. Ivan's got ears everywhere. Just watch yourself. They settled near a rusted steam cart to eat, Evie tearing into her tin with quiet focus. Cain shoveled his down, then spat into the dirt. Place is a shithole. Why'd we come here? Closest shelter, Rain replied, scanning the outpost. Bunker's gone. We need a base to hunt from. Before Cain could retort, boots crunched behind them. Ivan Leclerc loomed, a hulking Frenchman with a shaved head and a scarred jaw, his leather coat riveted with steel plates. A steampunk gauntlet encased his left hand, pistons hissing as he flexed it. 2 goons flanked him, wielding clubs and grim sneers. Dust wolf, Ivan rumbled, accent thick. Heard you lost your hole. Crawling here for scraps. Rain stood, brushing dust off his pauldrons. Passing through, Leclerc. No trouble unless you make it. Ivan's eyes flicked to Cain and Evie, lingering on her with a leer. Got a crew now, eh? Pretty little thing. Could use her in the bloom. Pay off your stay. Evie's grip tightened on her dagger, but Rain stepped forward, voice cold. She's mine. Back off. Ivan chuckled, cracking his gauntlet's knuckles. Yours, huh? Let's see. He swung, faster than his bulk suggested, the metal fist aiming for Rain's jaw. Rain ducked, slamming his fist up into Ivan's gut, staggering him. Cain roared, axe arcing toward a goon. The thug blocked with his club, wood splintering, and Cain's shotgun butt cracked his skull, blood spraying the sand. Evie darted in, arrow knocked, but the second goon tackled her, pinning her arm. She twisted, dagger slashing his thigh. Red bloomed, and he howled, loosening his grip. She rolled free, driving the blade into his calf, dropping him. Ivan recovered, lunging at Rain, gauntlet grazing his pauldron with a screech of metal. Rain pivoted, coppice slashing Ivan's arm, blood mixing with fungal dust as the overseer snarled. Workers scattered, shouts rising, but no one intervened. Ivan's rule was iron. Cain blasted the first goon as he staggered up, the shotgun tearing his chest open, gore painting the cart. Rain grappled Ivan, pistol whipping his temple, then driving a knee into his chin. The big man swayed, then roared, hurling Rain into the shack wall. Wood splintered, and Rain hit the ground. Mask cracking against stone, rolled to his feet. Evie loosed her arrow, piercing Ivan's shoulder. He bellowed, ripping it free, blood streaming, and charged her. Cain intercepted, axe burying into Ivan's thigh. Bone cracked, and the overseer crumpled, clutching the wound. Rain wandered up, rolling his shoulder from the pain. Pistol aimed at Ivan's head. Stay down, or I finish it. Ivan glared, panting but didn't rise. His goons were dead, their blood soaking the dirt. Workers peeked from hiding, murmurs rippling. Rain holstered his gun, nodding to Cain and Evie. Grab the tins, we're gone. They bolted for the gate, Yuri too stunned to stop them. Outside, the Deadlands swallowed them again, the outpost smoke fading behind. Evie limped, her leg wound reopened, but kept pace. Cain wiped gore from his axe, grinning faintly. Told you I'd split a skull. Rain smirked, catching his breath. Not bad, pup. You too, dancer. He glanced back, unease prickling. Ivan's rage didn't explain France's fear. Something bigger was at play. A distant screech echoed. A howler, faint but deliberate. The specialized zombie's handiwork, maybe. Collectors might be after it. Keep moving, he said, reloading. Next stop's open ground. We're not done bleeding yet. Chapter 12, The Soldier's Echo. The Deadlands sprawled wide and merciless beyond Ashen Reach, a desert of cracked earth and skeletal ruins stretching toward the horizon. Rain led Cain and Evie across the open ground, the midday sun a dull glow behind spore-heavy clouds. His trench coat flapped in the dry wind, pauldrons glinting faintly, his rifle gripped tight. Cain marched beside him, axe and shotgun ready, his goatee caked with dust and blood from the outpost brawl. Evie trailed, bow strung, her leg wounds slowing her but not stopping her dancer's stride. They'd grabbed a moment to patch up, Rain's first aid kit binding her cuts, but rest wasn't an option. The howler's screech still rang in their ears, a taunt from the shadows. No cover out here. Watch for wolves and runners, Rain said, voice low, scanning the flat expanse. Ruins dotted the distance, crumbled factories with Gothic arches and rusted smokestacks, but nothing close. If it's coming, it's now, Kane spat into the sand. Good, I'm done running from that freak. Evie's brown eyes flicked to the horizon, uneasy. It's been watching us since the caravan. Why wait? Likes the game, Rain replied, adjusting his cracked mask. Smart ones do. Stay tight, moves like a soldier, fights like a beast. The attack came without warning. A runner's snarl ripped from behind a distant dune, and three charged, gaunt, fungal veins pulsing, herding a pack of shufflers lumbering in their wake. Rain dropped to a knee, rifle cracking. The lead runner's head burst, 30-06 finding a home, black gore spraying the sand. Kane fired his .357 revolver, punched hole in a shuffler's torso, fungus and ichor scattering. Evie loosed an arrow, pinning a runner's leg. It stumbled, fell, and slid, and a dagger finished it, slashing its throat in a spray of sludge. But the real threat emerged as the pack fell. From the dune's crest, the specialized zombie stepped into view, taller than a man, its decayed frame draped in tattered trenchcoat over fatigues, gas mask fused to its skull. One arm ended in a jagged claw, fungal tendrils coiling from its back, writhing like serpents. Its yellow eye glowed, locked on them, and it raised a rusted bayonet in its human hand, a soldier's weapon, gripped with purpose. It screeched, a guttural command, and two large infected dogs flanked it, outpacing the prior runners, darting forward with eerie coordination. Shit! It's armed! Kane roared, pumping his shotgun. Rain fired, the bullet pinging off its claw as it sidestepped, leaving a large crack. Too fast, too smart. The dogs split, circling them, and the specialized lunged, bayonet slashing at Rain. He parried with his coppice, steel clanging, the force jarring his arm. Fungal rot dripped from its mask, the stench choking even through his filter. Evie dodged a dog, arrow sinking into its chest. It kept coming, jaws snapping at her coat. She rolled, dagger slashing its side along the edge of the belly, then stabbed upward, gore coating her gloves as it fell. Kane blasted the second dog mid-leap, its body exploding in a wet arc, but the specialized pivoted, claw swiping at him. He ducked, axe arcing. Metal met bone, chipping its arm at the joint, fungal blood oozing. But it countered, bayonet grazing his shoulder. He cursed, blood welling through his leather. Rain grappled the thing, slamming his pauldron into its chest. It staggered, yellow eye flaring. Rain dumped an oil bottle on it. Flare! He shouted, drawing his pistol. Evie yanked one from her belt, salvaged from the caravan, lighting it with a hiss. She hurled it at the zombie's feet, flames licking up its legs, fungus crackling. It screeched, retreating, but not before slashing Rain's thigh as he glanced to Kane and Evie. A shallow cut, searing with pain. He fired the .45 ACP, punching through its mask, taking a chuck of its closed eye, but it bolted, vanishing over the dune, remaining runners trailing like obedient dogs. The fire sputtered out, leaving charred sand and silence. Rain slumped, clutching his leg, blood seeping through his fingers. Bastard's quick, he rasped, holstering his gun. Kane wiped his shoulder, grimacing. And it fights dirty. What the hell was that? Soldier, maybe Deadlander, Rain said, standing with a grunt. Trained once, still remembers. Magnus'll want its head more now. Evie cleaned her dagger, breathing hard. It ran. Why? Disadvantaged, Rain replied, limping forward. Learning, next time it won't miss. He pulled a bandage from his belt, wrapping his thigh tight, the sting sharpening his focus. We need a plan. Fireworks, but it's not enough. Kane kicked a shuffler corpse, its fungal skull splitting. I say we burn the whole damn nest it crawled from. Agreed, Rain said, a dark grin flickering. But we need bait, something to draw it out. Evie's eyes narrowed, catching his drift. Us? Got a better idea? He shot back, reloading his rifle. She didn't answer, but her grip on her bow tightened. A silent yes. They moved on, wounds aching, the Deadlands stretching endless around them. The soldier's echo lingered, its screeches, its tactics, its unblinking eye. Rain's mind churned. Fire, traps coffee if he lived long enough. The hunt was a war now, and they were its battered vanguard. Chapter 13, Fire and Fungus. The Deadlands offered no reprieve as Rain, Kane, and Evie tracked the specialized zombies' trail northwest from the ambush site. The desert gave way to a foliage-choked ruin, an old mill town, its medieval stone mills tangled with industrial pipes and fungal vines. Art Deco signs rusted into illegibility. Claw marks and scorched sand led them to a sunken factory, its steel roof caved in, tendrils pulsing through the cracks. Rain crouched at the edge, peering into the dark moor below, his flashlight beam swallowed by fungal haze. Nest, he said, voice low, adjusting his cracked mask. Big one. It's in there, planning. Kane wiped blood from his shoulder, axe gleaming with dried gore. So we burn it out, like the bunker. Oh, smarter this time, Rain replied, checking his rifle. Bait it, trap it, torch it. No mistakes. He glanced at Evie, her leg wound stiff, but her brown eyes steady. You're the lure. Fastest of us. Draw it deep. We'll seal the exits. She nodded, bow slung, dagger ready. I can do it. Just don't let me roast. Deal, Rain said, a faint smirk breaking through. Pup, you're on fire duty. Grab anything that burns. Crates, rags, whatever's dry. Kane grunted, scavenging the ruins. He piled splintered wood and oil-soaked cloth near the entrance, his shotgun propped beside him. Rain rigged a flare with a salvaged fuse, its hiss a promise of chaos. One spark and this place goes up. Fungus burns fast, too fast. We move quick or we're ash. They descended into the nest, the air thick with spores, filters whining against the rot. The factory's belly was a fungal labyrinth, rusted machinery webbed with glowing tendrils, slumpers slumped in corners, shufflers shuffling in the gloom. Rain led, kukri drawn, slicing a shuffler's neck. Black sludge splattered his pauldrons, the head rolling into a puddle of rot. Evie flanked, arrow nocked, while Kane brought up the rear, axe dripping from a fresh kill. Deeper in, the nest pulsed, walls alive with fungal veins, bones littering the floor, human and animal alike. A runner snarled from a catwalk, and Evie's arrow found a home in its upper mouth, poking out of back of its skull, dropping it with a wet thud. Kane blasted a slumper as it stirred, the shotgun shredding its bloated mass, fungal guts painting the steel. Rain's light caught the target, the specialized zombie, gas mask glinting, yellow eye fixed on them from a raised platform. Its bone-exposed hand clutched the bayonet, tendrils writhing, and it screeched, summoning runners from the shadows. Go! Rain barked. Evie bolted, darting past machinery, her dancer's speed a blur. The zombie leaped after her, bayonet slashing air, runners flanking. She vaulted a rusted press, arrow loosed mid-air. It sank into its shoulder, fungal blood oozing, but it didn't slow. Rain and Kane split, sealing the plan. Rain slashed through a shuffler, reaching a side tunnel, piling crates to block it. Kane torched his pile with a flare, flames licking up the entrance, smoke billowing. Evie led the chase, weaving through the nest, her legs screaming but holding. The zombie closed, claw swiping. She ducked, dagger slashing its thigh, finding a tendon, slowing it. Runners lunged. She rolled, stabbing one's skull, gore coating her shorts. Rain fired from a perch, bullets pinging off its chest, the tattered rags coming away to reveal decayed, hardened leather, but still enough to hurt it as it cornered her near a fungal wall, staggering. Kane roared in, axe burying into a runner's back, splitting it, then swung at the zombie. It parried with the bayonet, steel clashing, knocking him flat. Light it! Evie yelled, scrambling back. Rain tossed the rigged flare. It hit the fungal floor, erupting in a whoosh of fire. Tendrils ignited, flames racing up walls, the nest a roaring inferno. The zombie screeched, claws slashing blindly as fungus burned from its legs. Runners flailed, collapsing in the blaze. Rain grabbed Kane, hauling him up. Evie sprinted for the exit, flames licking her coat. The ceiling groaned, steel beams buckling. fungal rot weakening the structure. Out now! Rain shouted, shoving them ahead. A slumper burst aflame, lunging at Kane. He blasted it, gore sizzling, and stumbled on. Evie vaulted debris, her agility shining, but a falling girder grazed her arm, blood welling, almost knocking her over. Rain fired at the zombie as it staggered through fire, mask melting, yellow eye glaring, then the platform collapsed, burying it in burning rubble. They burst into daylight, coughing, the factory imploding behind them with a thunderous crack. Smoke poured skyward, fungal ash raining down. Rain dropped to his knees, thigh wound pulsing, mask fogged. Kane slumped, shoulder bleeding anew, axe charred. Evie leaned against a stone, arm dripping red, panting but alive. Dead? Kane rasped, spitting soot. Maybe, Rain said, reloading his pistol. Didn't see it die. Tough bastard. Evie wiped her dagger, voice shaky but sharp. If it's not, we'll finish it next time. Rain smirked, dark. Next time, I'm bringing whiskey to watch it burn. He stood, wincing, the Deadlands stretching silent around them. The nest was gone, but the hunt wasn't over. That yellow eye haunted him still, buried or not. It'd be back. Chapter 14, Brother and Sister. The smouldering ruin of the factory lay behind them, a blackened scar on the Deadland's skin, its fungal stench replaced by the acrid bite of ash. Rain led Kane and Evie east, away from the collapse, toward a shallow ravine where a crumbling stone bridge offered scant shelter. The sun hung low, casting long shadows over the dusty expanse, ruined mills and rusted pipes fading into the haze. His thigh throbbed, blood crusting his pants, but he ignored it, rifle slung low. Kane trudged beside him, shoulder wounds seeping through his coat, axe dragging like a grudge. Evie followed, arm bandaged with a torn sleeve, her limp easing as adrenaline faded, bow still clutched tight. They dropped into the ravine's shadow, settling against the bridge's cracked base. Rain pulled his cracked mask off, letting it dangle, and dug into his belt for the last ration tin, half empty, salvaged from Ashen Reach. He split it 3 ways with his kukri, handing chunks to Kane and Evie. Eat slow, he said, voice rough. Might be a while before we scrounge more. Kane took his share, wolfing it down despite the warning, then leaned back, wiping his goatee. Tastes like shit, but it's better than starving. That thing dead yet? Rain chewed his portion, staring at the horizon. Doubt it. Buried, maybe. Tougher than it looks. Soldiers' instincts don't burn easy. Evie ate quietly, her brown eyes flicking between them. She'd been silent since the escape, her dancer's poise softened by exhaustion. She set the tin down, brushing ash from her shorts, and finally spoke, voice low. You didn't have to pull me out. Either of you. Why'd you risk it? Rain shrugged, swallowing. Habit, don't think too hard. On it. Gets messy. Kane snorted, a rare grin cracking his scowl. He's soft under all that sarcasm. Me? I just didn't want to haul your corpse. Evie's lips twitched, a ghost of a smile, fragile but warm. Thanks, I guess. Soft or not, you're stuck with me now. Rain met her gaze, blue eyes steady. You've pulled your weight, more than some I've run with. Keep it up. You're no burden. She nodded, a flicker of something, gratitude, maybe more, crossing her face. She shifted closer, resting her bow against the stone, and hesitated. Back in Dunmere, you went to that brothel. Lotta, right? Saw her hanging off you. Rain arched a brow. Jealous dancer? Didn't peg you for the type. Her cheeks flushed, but she laughed, short, sharp, cutting the tension. Not jealous, just curious. Thought maybe you'd ditch us for her. Lotta's a warm bed, not a partner, he said, blunt but not cruel. You're family now, pain in the arse or not. Don't need to fish for my attention. Evie's flush deepened, but her eyes softened, the crush she was nursing fading a little into something else. Trust. Reliance. like a kid sister testing her big brother's limits. Good to know, she said, leaning back. Still think you're an asshole sometimes. Fair, Rain replied, smirking. Keeps me honest. Kane watched the exchange, his scowl softening, brown eyes lingering on Evie. He scratched his goatee, then spoke, voice gruff but quieter. You're not bad, Dancer. Held your own in that hellhole. Most'd be dead. She glanced at him, surprised, then smiled, real this time, lighting her pale face. Coming from you, that's high praise. Didn't think you'd notice. Hard not to, he muttered, looking away, a faint red creeping up his neck. Just don't get cocky. Rain caught it, the shift, the spark. Thought so, he mused and filed it away, his smile widening. Pup's got a heart after all. Careful. Evie, he might start writing you poems. Shut it, Kane growled, tossing a pebble at him, but his lips twitched, betraying the jest. Evie laughed again, the sound cutting through the Deadlands gloom like a rare blade. They settled into silence, the ravine shielding them from the wind. Rain took first watch, rifle across his lap, mind drifting, coffee, whiskey, a book he'd never see again. But the weight of Kane and Evie beside him, battered but breathing, anchored him. Family, he'd called them. What am I doing? He thought, but it stuck a lump in his gut he hadn't felt since he was 15. The specialized zombie was out there, burned, maybe broken, but not gone. He'd teach them more, to hunt it, to survive it. For now, they rested, scars knitting them closer. Night crept in, the horizon swallowing the sun. A distant runner howled, answered by nothing. The Deadlands waited, patient and cruel, but the trio held their ground, siblings in blood and dust. Chapter 15, Dust Fox Rises. The Deadlands thickened as Rain, Kane, and Evie pushed north, the flat wastes giving way to a ruined town swallowed by foliage and decay. Medieval stone walls crumbled beneath industrial smokestacks, their Art Deco curves choked with fungal vines, leaves rustling in the dry wind. The tracks they'd followed, deep, deliberate, wove through cracked streets, leading to a sagging mill, its steel roof webbed with tendrils. Rain halted at the edge, rifle raised, his trench coat stiff with blood and ash. Kane gripped his axe, shotgun slung, while Evie strung her bow, her leg wound a dull ache beneath her focus. Town's a nest, Rain said, voice low, goggles whirring as he scanned the shadows. Runners. Lots of them. Glowy eyes close. Feel it. Kane cracked his neck, grinning grimly. Let's flush the bastards out. Evie nodded, dagger gleaming in her hand. I'll draw 'em, like the factory. Rain smirked, dark and proud. Go, Dancer. We've got your back. She took off, darting into the town's heart, a blur of leaps and rolls, vaulting overturned carts and scaling a rusted pipe. A runner's snarl erupted, then dozens, gaunt, fungal-crusted, bursting from alleys and broken windows, their yellow eyes locked on her. She sprinted, bow firing mid-stride. An arrow sank into a runner's skull, dropping it of black gore oozing. Another lunged. She twisted, dagger slashing its throat, sludge splattering her shorts. Rain and Kane charged in, flanking the swarm. Rain's rifle cracked. Each shot ahead he was done playing. 3 runners down, fungal brains painting the stone. Kane roared, axe cleaving a runner's chest, ribs snapping as he kicked it free, stomping on its head. His shotgun boomed, shredding the lower torso of another into wet chunks, the streets slick with rot. Keep running, Dancer, he bellowed, grinning through the carnage. Evie hit the mill's courtyard, runners closing. She vaulted a steam boiler, landing on a sagging roof, and loosed arrows in rapid succession. 1, 2, 3, 2 kills, 1 wounded. Bodies piling below a 4th arrow, finishing the wounded. The swarm thinned, but a fresh wave surged, smarter, faster, herded by a guttural screech from the mill's depths. The specialized zombie, gas mask melted, claw charred and cracked but gleaming, stepped into view, bayonet raised, yellow eye burning through the dust. Got you, Rain muttered, sprinting forward. He fired, bullets pinging off its claw, cracking it more and chipping away at its decayed armor as it charged. Evie, she leaped from the roof, rolling, landing, firing. Her arrow struck its thigh, slowing it, and she kept moving, dagger slashing its tendrils. Fungal cords snapped, oozing, but it swung, bayonet grazing her coat. She ducked, agile as a fox, and darted back. Kane hit it from the side, axe burying into its shoulder. Bone cracked, but it countered, claw raking his chest. He staggered, blood welling a little through leather, and blasted his shotgun point blank. The mist slug tore its mask half off at the right side of its jaw as Specialized moved to protect its head, exposing decayed flesh and rotted teeth, but it kept coming. Rain tackled it, Copis slashing its claw where it connects at the elbow, metal met bone, severing tendrils and tendons, but not all the way, the claw dangling. Rain pushed hard and pinned it against the mill wall. Burn it! He yelled. Evie grabbed a scavenged oil bottle, smashing it against the zombie. Black liquid splashed, fungal rot glistening. Cain lit a match, flicked from his belt, and tossed it. Flames erupted, engulfing the creature, its screeches echoing as fungus ignited. Runners scattered, burning, the mill catching fire, tendrils crackling, steel groaning. Rain shoved them back, the trio retreating as the blaze roared, the Specialized thrashing in its pyre. They stumbled clear, the town ablaze behind them, smoke billowing into the dusk. Rain reloaded, panting, his thigh wound pulsing. Kane clutched his chest, blood seeping, but grinned. Cooked it good! Evie wiped gore from her dagger, catching her breath, her eyes alight. Think it's dead this time? Doubt it, Rain said, smirking. But we hurt it bad. You led that chase like a damn fox. Fast, sly, deadly. Dust Fox suits you. She blinked, then grinned. Bright, fierce, a Deadlander born. Evie Dust Fox. I'll take it. Kane laughed, rough but warm. Fits better than Dancer. Nice work, Fox. Rain nodded, pride flickering in his blue eyes. Wolf, dog, fox, hell of a pack. Rest up, it's not over. They slumped against a stone wall, the fire's glow painting their battered forms. Rain's lean ruthlessness, Kane's raw strength, Evie's lithe grace. The Deadlands stretched beyond, walled cities waiting. Their laws and lies a distant hum. The Specialized zombie's fate hung uncertain, burned, maybe broken, but its echo lingered. But the hunt stretched on, their scars a map for the horrors ahead. Chapter 16, Echoes of the Fallen. The Deadlands stretched bleak and endless beyond. The burning mill town, the trio's footsteps crunching over ash-dusted sand as they trekked south from their fiery triumph. Rain led, his trench coat tattered but resolute, rifle slung across his back, blue eyes sharp behind cracked goggles. Kane followed, axe blood streaked, his chest wound bandaged tight under his leather armor, a faint grin lingering from the hunt. Evie, newly christened Dust Fox, brought up the rear, bow in hand, her shorts stained with fungal rot, her dancer's grace undimmed despite the ache in her limbs. The Specialized zombie's fate hung uncertain, but for now survival trumped pursuit. A mile out, the wind shifted, carrying the copper tang of blood and the groan of twisted metal. Rain raised a fist, halting them, his flashlight beam sweeping the dusk. Ahead, a caravan lay sprawled across a cracked road, 5 wagons toppled, their steam engines cold, canvas torn like flayed skin. Bodies littered the scene, guards in riveted armor, traders in patched coats, all mangled, throats ripped, limbs gnawed, fungal spores dusting their remains. Runners had hit hard, maybe a week ago, and moved on, leaving a graveyard of loot. Jackpot, Rain muttered, stepping forward, kukri drawn. Eyes open, might be stragglers. Kane kicked a corpse, its head lolling with a wet crack. Long gone. Smells ripe, but not fresh. We're clear. Evie scanned the wreckage, arrow knocked, her voice low. Poor bastards didn't stand a chance. Look, claw marks, deep ones. Our friend? Maybe, Rain said, crouching by a wagon. Doesn't matter now. Scavenge what's good. They split, rummaging through the chaos. Cain pried open a crate, grinning as he pulled out a dented ammo box. 20 shotgun shells, 3 rifle mags, one 30-06. Enough to blow a nest apart, he said, tucking them into his belt. Rain salvaged a first aid kit, gauze, antiseptic, a needle, and a tin of preserved meat, its label faded but intact. He sliced it open with his kukri, the scent a rare promise of something beyond starvation. Evie drifted to a smaller wagon, its contents spilled across the sand. A trader's personal chest, wood splintered but locked. She jimmied it with her dagger, the latch snapping free, and rummaged inside. Her fingers brushed metal. A tarnished kettle, small but whole. Then a tin, unopened, labeled ground coffee in faded script. Her eyes widened, and she dug deeper, pulling out a book. Dracula, its leather cover worn but pages intact. "Rain!" she called, holding them up. "Look what I found!" He turned, and for a heartbeat, his stoic mask cracked. Blue eyes lit with a boyish gleam, a grin tugging his bearded jaw. "Coffee and Stoker? Hell, Fox, you're a damn miracle." He strode over, snatching the tin and kettle, inspecting them like treasure, then took the book, flipping it open with a reverence he'd never shown a person. "Been years since I read this. Good find," Kane snorted, hauling a sack of scavenged gear, blankets, a flint, a cracked lantern. "You're grinning like a kid over beans in a ghost story. Thought you were tougher than that." "Coffee's worth more than your axe out here," Rain shot back, pocketing the book. "And Dracula beats your whining for entertainment." Evie laughed, bright and sharp, hefting the kettle. "Guess we're brewing tonight. Might even share if you're nice." They piled their haul near a flipped wagon's shadow, settling in for a rare pause. Rain rigged the kettle over a small fire, flint sparking dry twigs, water boiling from a scavenged canteen. The coffee's aroma cut through the Deadlands rot, a fleeting warmth as he poured it into dented mugs. They ate the meat in silence, the trio's battered forms haloed by flickering light, Rain savouring his brew, Kane scarfing his share, Evie sipping slow, Dracula resting beside her. "Lost the bunker," Kane said, breaking the quiet, wiping grease from his goatee. "Fix it up or find new digs. We had to torch the damn place." Rain swirled his coffee, staring into the flames. "Could clean it, seal the vents, burn out the rot. Got gear there, my cycle. But it's compromised. New spot'd need work, fortified, hidden. Takes time we don't have." Evie set her mug down, thoughtful. "Bunker's close. Familiar. We could hold it till we scout better. That thing's still out there. Need a base to hunt from." "True," Rain grunted. "But I'm not sleeping in fungal shit if we can help it. Weigh it later. Sleep's priority. Safety, a bath, then plans." Kane smirked, leaning back. "Bath, huh? Sure you don't just want to cozy up with your vampire book?" Rain's lip twitched. "Rather read than smell, you pup. Fox, you're on watch. Don't let him stink up the night." Evie grinned, grabbing her bow. "Deal. Wake me when the coffee's cold." They bunked down, the caravan's husk a grim cradle. Rain with Dracula tucked close, Kane sprawled, snoring, Evie perched above on a wagon, eyes on the dark. The Deadlands loomed, silent but alive, the specialized zombie shadow a whisper on the wind. For now, they rested, resupplied, recharged, a pack forged in dust and fire, their next move hanging like the promise of dawn. Chapter 17, Ashes of the Soldier. The mill town's ruins smouldered under a spore-laden sky, embers glowing faintly amid blackened steel and ash. Beneath a twisted beam, the ground quaked, a scorched claw burst free, clawing through fungal rubble. The specialized zombie emerged, a burned wreckage of its former self. Fire had ravaged it, fungal tendrils seared to shriveled nubs, gas mask fused and half shattered, revealing a charred maw of jagged teeth. Its yellow eye blazed, furious, the only spark in its ruined skull. Its vocal cords, once commanding, were ash. Muffled gargles and groans rasped from its throat, useless for rallying the dead. Runners it once led were ashes or fled. Its claw arm, once a lethal spike, dangled as a broken stump, bone splintered, fungal cords limp. With a wet rip, it tore the limb free, gripping it in its human hand. The stump became a club, oozing black sludge, a crude tool for its wrath. It staggered upright, limping on a fire-twisted leg, tattered trench coat and fatigues flaking away, each shuffle a growl of pain and hate. Their scent, wolf, dog, fox, clung to its fungal senses, a trail south through the dust. Burned, scarred, it followed, vengeance its only pulse. Night swallowed the hours, the Deadlands a haze of ruin, Gothic arches sagging, rusted smokestacks leaning, fungal vines recoiling from its path. Tracks led to a toppled caravan, wagons broken, bodies strewn, blood and coffee in the air. It crept near, bayonet scraping, stump club tight in its grip, growls bubbling from its wrecked throat. A ruined storefront, stone and steel entwined, offered shadow. It pressed against the wall, peering through cracked glass. The fox stood watch atop a wagon. Evie, brunette hair glinting in firelight, bow ready, brown eyes sharp. It clenched its stump, bone grinding, picturing her skull crushed. She turned, locking eyes with it through the dark, and waved ere a smirk flashing. Its eye narrowed, fungal mind slow but prickling. Wrongness, too late. A shadow slid from pitch-black silence behind it, coppice gleaming, a wolf in the night. He leaned close, whispering against its decayed ear, "You owe me a skull, asshole." The blade swung, heavy, clean, slicing through fungal neck and bone. The head toppled with a wet thud, rolling into dust, yellow eye fading, stump club clattering free, black sludge pooled, the body collapsing in a heap. Rain stepped back, wiping his coppice on his coat, smirking faintly. Evie hopped down, her wave a baited trap sprung. "Good lure, Fox," he said, dry humor cutting the silence. She grinned, nudging the head with her boot. Rain crouched, inspecting it. Mask melted, flesh charred, but intact enough. "Magnus'll pay for this," he muttered, pulling a sack from his belt. He scooped the head inside, sludge dripping, and tied it tight, slinging it over his shoulder. 60 bullets, 15 tins, 2 bottles worth the stink. The Deadlands hushed, the caravan's fire flickering low. Evie returned to watch, bow in hand, while Rain faded back to the shadows, sack dripping faintly. The hunt was cash now, but the dark still whispered, never truly empty. Fin. Well, folks, we are done. I hope you enjoyed your tutorial into the Deadlands, and we'll be back for book 2 and 3 and the rest of them, where the broader world is explored, swapping from single enemy plot to more broader reach to showcase the world more, new biomes, yet to be revealed infected types and more characters, like Sub Bell, all that good stuff. See you for the next book. Bye bye.